I waited for the mail like a child waits for Christmas. Every morning, I'd check the mailbox before I even brushed my teeth. It wasn't just curiosity, it was hope. Hope that Maya, my cousin, my childhood twin flame, hadn't forgotten me. Hope that I still mattered, that I still belonged. But the envelope never came. Not a card, not a message, not even a text. That's how I learned I wasn't invited to the wedding. Not officially. Anyway, you know what's worse than being rejected, being erased. Not with a scream, not with a fight, just quiet exclusion. Like I never existed. Maya and I grew up inseparable. People used to joke we were soulmates born into the wrong bodies. She was bold, radiant, always 3 steps ahead. I was quieter, observant. I helped her craft her school speeches, covered for her during curfew breaks, even rewrote her college application essay when she had a meltdown. But I never minded. Because we were family. Because I thought we loved each other. Now she was getting married, and I was nobody. I found out through Instagram, a grainy repost on someone's story. Can't wait to be part of Maya and Ryan's big day, wedding season. I remember staring at that photo. My throat tightened. My chest buzzed with this strange mix of jealousy and confusion. I blinked. Maybe I missed the invite. Maybe there was a glitch. Maybe. But deep down, I already knew. Still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. That was my problem. I always gave people too much room to hurt me. I called her. No answer. I texted her. Hey, saw your wedding is coming up. So happy for you. Just wanted to check, but did I miss something? Seen? No reply. I waited 3 days. Then her mother, my Aunt Lorraine, posted a video of the bridesmaids opening gift boxes with matching silk robes and champagne flutes. Maya's laughter rang through the video like chimes. But my name was never said, Benwis. My face never appeared. That was the moment I stopped lying to myself. They hadn't forgotten me. They had cut me out on purpose. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the guest list was small. Maybe there was drama I didn't know about. Maybe they thought I wouldn't want to come. But that's the thing about betrayal. It's never just one slice. It's a slow, deliberate carving. And it goes deeper when it comes from family. I called my mother. She didn't invite you. Her voice was calm, like she already knew. Well, you two were never that close. Maybe she just had other priorities. That hurt more than I expected. I hung up quickly before she could hear the break in my voice. Then I stared at my ceiling for hours, wondering what I had done to deserve being ghosted by the one person I used to braid hair with at sleepovers. For days, I spiraled. I looked through old photos, birthday parties, beach trips, prom night, each memory laced with 1,000 invisible threads, now suddenly severed. And the more I tried to stay calm, the more something inside me twisted. Then came the announcement. Maya posted the wedding details publicly on her feed, a lavish garden ceremony, over 150 guests, designer gown, press coverage. The caption, "Can't wait to marry my best friend in front of all the people who truly matter." That last line, it hit like a punch to the gut. That night, I opened my closet and pulled out an old lavender dress, the one I wore to her graduation party. I held it up, wondering if it still fit, wondering if it still mattered, wondering if I still mattered. And that's when the switch flipped. I decided to go. No, not to crash the wedding. I wasn't some jealous ex screaming outside the gate. I just wanted to see, one last time, to know, for myself, where I stood. Because sometimes closure isn't given. Sometimes you have to take it. The morning of the wedding, I stood outside the venue in that same lavender dress. The sun was gentle. The flowers were in bloom. Laughter drifted through the air, and music pulsed faintly through the open canopy. I didn't go inside. I stayed by the entrance, heart pounding, just watching. Faces I hadn't seen in years walked past me. No one noticed. No one stopped. Then came Aunt Lorraine. She spotted me. Her eyes narrowed. I smiled softly. "Hi. I just came to say congratulations. I won't stay." She didn't smile back. Instead, she snapped her fingers. 2 security guards came over. "This woman is not a guest. Please remove her." I blinked. I'm family. She didn't flinch. You were not today? I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't fight. I let them walk me out past the floral arch, past the fairy lights, past the place I once thought of as home. People watched. Phones turned. Whispers followed. I walked away slowly, each step heavier than the last. But as I reached the sidewalk, I stopped, and I smiled, because something inside me cracked open, not in pain, in clarity. They didn't just remove me from their celebration. They freed me from the illusion that I ever mattered to them the way they mattered to me. And in that moment, I made a vow, not a bitter one, a quiet, sharp promise. You took me out of your story, fine. I'll just write my own. And one day, you'll be the one watching. Maybe I was stupid to show up. Maybe I should have stayed home. But that day, I needed answers. What I got instead was humiliation, the kind you don't scream about, the kind that settles in your bones and stays there. I didn't even step past the first archway before they made a scene. 2 guards, 1 look, no questions. They didn't say, "Sorry, ma'am, are you lost?" They said, "We've been told you're not welcome." Just like that. I stood there frozen in my lavender dress, heels sinking into the gravel, eyes darting between strangers I used to call cousins. None of them looked at me. They looked through me, like I was air. Worse, like I was disruption. I remember the way the air smelled, sweet florals, champagne, perfume, the way laughter drifted through the open canopy like music I wasn't allowed to hear. One of the bridesmaids, Sienna, passed by with a flute of Prosecco. Her eyes met mine for a second, then she smirked, whispered something to the girl beside her. They both laughed. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stood there, lips pressed tight, gripping the strap of my purse like it could anchor me. Then I heard her, my Aunt Lorraine. "Oh God, it's her," she said, not even bothering to lower her voice. "She always does this, always needs attention. Take her out before she ruins the photos." That was the moment something shattered. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. One of the guards placed his hand gently on my arm. "We'll walk you out now, miss." I nodded. Because what else could I do? As they escorted me down the long path back to the parking lot, I could hear the murmurs ripple behind me. A few guests turned. A few phones rose just for a second, maybe trying to zoom in, record, get a clip of the wedding crasher cousin. I became their gossip appetizer. The scene before the ceremony, the joke before the vows, and they didn't even know the half of it. I reached my car and closed the door softly. Then I sat still, not moving, not breathing, just sitting. I stared at the dashboard like it could explain something, like it owed me an apology. And then the tears came. Not loud, not heaving, just silent rivers running down my cheeks while the engine remained off. I don't remember how long I sat there, but I do remember this. At some point, I reached for my phone, I opened Instagram, and I watched them celebrate. The captions were pouring in most beautiful bride in the world, a day full of love, laughter, and light, surrounded by all the people who matter most, all the people who mattered most, except me. You know what grief looks like when it's silent. It looks like scrolling through photos of a life you were supposed to be part of, a life you helped build, only to realize you were cut out of the final draft. That's when something inside me turned, shifted, not into rage, but into resolve. I drove home in silence, didn't blast angry music, didn't curse the sky, just silence. By the time I reached my apartment, I was no longer the same version of myself who had zipped up that lavender dress with trembling hands. She had died in that parking lot. The girl who begged to be invited. The girl who clung to old memories like they were lifelines. The girl who thought love meant loyalty. And from her ashes, someone else emerged. Someone sharper, quieter, focused. I didn't call Maya. I didn't text. I didn't send a bitter message or vague post. I did something far more dangerous. I watched. Over the next few days, I noticed things. A certain photographer tagged in every shot. A planner who boasted about NDAs signed and sealed. A vendor who shared a reel, but quickly deleted it when a commenter asked about a certain controversial guest. Little things. But I've always been good at seeing the patterns in chaos. That's what they never understood. Maya was the face, but I was the one who always knew where the bones were buried. I pulled out an old hard drive, one I hadn't touched in years. Inside were recordings back when Maya and I used to talk about everything on voice memos. Secrets, confessions, things no one else knew, things a documentary producer might find very interesting. At first, I just listened, reliving it all. Her laughing about how Ryan's dad laundered half the campaign money but still got a golf club named after him. Her whispering that she didn't really love him, but loved the optics, and that's when it clicked. They didn't just kick me out because I didn't fit the aesthetic. They kicked me out because I knew too much. I was the risk, the liability, the witness to their curated illusion. And now I had power. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, eyes locked on the number I'd saved months ago. Julia Marks, senior producer at Weddings Uncovered. We'd met once at a networking panel. She'd given a talk on media truth and image manipulation. I remember her words clearly. The stories we're told about weddings are fairy tales, but every fairy tale has a villain. The question is, who gets to write it? I took a breath, then I dialed. 1 ring, 2, 3, click. Julia Marks speaking. My voice didn't tremble. Hi, my name is Elianna Quinn. I have a story, a wedding story. Not about love, about lies. And I have receipts. There was a pause, then her voice sharpened. Go on. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can give someone is time. After I hung up with Julia Marks, the silence in my apartment buzzed. Not with fear, not with guilt, with clarity. I wasn't going to scream into the void anymore. I was going to build something inside it. For the first time in weeks, I slept through the night, and when I woke up, I didn't check Maya's Instagram. I didn't scroll through the photos of people who didn't choose me. Instead, I opened my laptop, created a folder, named it Operation Rewrite. I started gathering everything, voice memos from Maya recordings she'd forgotten about, casually sent over voice chat back in the days we still talked daily, screenshots of our text conversations, her complaints about Ryan, the things she said about his family, the truth behind the so-called perfect match. I built a digital map of their lies. Maya's wedding wasn't a celebration. It was a campaign, a performance. Every step choreographed, every guest calculated, every angle curated for public perception. And they cut me out not because I didn't belong, but because I was the one person who knew what the backstage looked like. Julia called back 2 days later. I just listened to the first batch. This isn't just a wedding story. Elianna, it's media gold. Her voice was sharp, certain. If you're willing to go public, I can get you on our fall season. We'll feature you, unfiltered, no cuts. You tell it how it happened. You okay with that? I took a breath. Let's do it. From that moment on, I became a ghost with a mission. I didn't post. I didn't rant. I didn't engage with anyone from the wedding circle. I wanted them to think I had faded away, to believe I had tucked my tail and limped back to irrelevance, because revenge isn't loud, it's surgical. Filming began 3 weeks later. I flew to New York alone. They gave me a clean, minimal studio, just one chair, one camera, a mic, no makeup team, no glam, just me. That was the whole point, because this wasn't a show about looking good, it was about truth. I sat in that chair and told the story, from childhood summers with Maya, to the sleepless nights after the wedding, to the moment I realized I wasn't left out by accident. I was deliberately erased. I spoke slowly, intentionally, letting each silence breathe, letting the audience feel it. She didn't just uninvite me from her wedding. She deleted me from her life, like I was an unflattering photo on her curated feed. I revealed the recordings, the audio of Maya laughing while calling Ryan's family money with a wine problem, the clip of her saying, "I'm not marrying him for love, I'm marrying him for optics." His dad knows senators. That's legacy. Julia's team layered those audios over soft, haunting visuals, childhood photos, wedding reels, public smiling faces, and underneath the real voice, the real story, my voice. As we wrapped filming, Julia turned to me with a look I won't forget. You don't sound bitter. You sound free. Most people come here to expose. You came here to reclaim. And that's exactly what it was. Not revenge, reclamation. The day the trailer dropped, I didn't tell a soul. I let the algorithm do its work. By midnight, it had over 400,000 views. By morning, 1.2 million. The comment section exploded. This is the rawest thing I've seen all year. The way she was discarded, and still told it without hate. That's power. This Maya chick sounds like a walking PR machine. Glad someone exposed it. And then came the hashtags, erased and rewritten justice, for Elianna invite, revoked voice. Returned. I didn't ask for it. I didn't plan it. But it happened. People saw me. Really saw me. The part that shocked me most, who reached out. Not the distant relatives, not the ones who stayed silent at the wedding, but strangers, women, men, people who had been cut out of families, friendships, photos, chapters they helped write. They flooded my inbox. Your story is mine. I cried in my car after episode 1. I've never been invited, but now I feel heard. And that's when I realized this wasn't just my story anymore. It was ours. Maya didn't call, but I know she saw it. She unfollowed me the next day. Then she posted a vague story, jealousy is a disease. Get well soon. I didn't respond, because some people rot in the spotlight. But me, I was born in the shadows, and I learned how to shine without asking permission. The final episode dropped 2 weeks later. I watched it alone, not because I had no one, but because I wanted to feel every moment. When the credits rolled and my name faded across the screen, Elianna Quinn, truth teller. I didn't cry. I just smiled. Because they kicked me out of their picture-perfect world. But I found something better. A platform, a voice, and an audience that actually listened. I didn't need a seat at their table. I built my own. And next time they look up, they'll see me on the stage they never thought I'd reach. The day I walked onto that stage, something shifted. Not around me, inside me. The studio was colder than I expected. Bright, clinical, a space built for truth, or at least the illusion of it. But when the lights hit, when the countdown started, when the producer whispered, "We're live in 3, I didn't flinch. Because for the first time, I wasn't stepping into someone else's story. I was telling mine. The segment opened with silence. Just me, in a single spotlight, staring into the camera, no fancy introduction, no dramatic music, just breath. And then my voice, steady and slow. My name is Elianna Quinn. I wasn't invited to the wedding. I was erased. This is the part they didn't want you to see. What followed wasn't a monologue, it was a reckoning. Julia had cut together everything our interviews, the voice recordings, childhood photos, and shots from Maya's Instagram. Each one annotated with captions like, "This was the moment she cut me off. This was when she smiled for the camera right after telling me I didn't belong." The audience, both in studio and at home, sat in stunned silence. No one interrupted. No one dared. Because this wasn't drama. This was truth raw, unfiltered, and surgically precise. I didn't scream, didn't accuse. I told it like I lived it. I wasn't angry at first. I thought maybe I'd been forgotten. But then I realized, forgotten is mercy. What they did was deliberate. They remembered me, and they chose to leave me out. The cameras didn't cut away. They let the words sit, let the silences breathe. Because some wounds don't need music to be felt, they speak loud enough on their own. Then came the part no one expected, the audio. The real voice of Maya, so casual, so careless, Ryan's dad has enough dirt to bury a city. But whatever he's loaded, Elianna. She's too much, always makes things about her. She won't be missed. The audience gasped. Not because it was mean, but because it was real, and because they knew that voice. They'd heard it at brunches, baby showers, engagement parties, the voice that smiles to your face and slices you open behind your back. After the segment aired, the world caught fire. Within hours, the clips were everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, late-night shows, podcasts, memes exploded. Uninvited but unforgettable, erased cousin arc, main character wedding arc. Imagine getting exposed in 4K by someone who still speaks gently, but it wasn't just the internet, it was the consequences. The wedding brand Maya had been quietly pitching to sponsors gone. The internship she secured through Ryan's father's media contacts rescinded. The press coverage she craved so badly turned into headlines she couldn't control. Bride's cousin exposes toxic wedding culture on national TV. When family becomes PR, the viral erasure of Elianna Quinn. And then, One night, my phone lit up, a number I hadn't seen in a year, Maya. For a moment, I froze. Then I answered, why? Why did you do this? Her voice wasn't angry. It was scared. And beneath that, embarrassed. You ruined my life, my name, my brand. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't speak like a villain or a martyr. I simply told the truth. You deleted me like I was disposable. But people aren't pixels. You don't get to crop me out and call it aesthetic. There was a long pause. Then she said something I'll never forget. You're acting like you're the victim. I let the silence stretch. Then I whispered, no. Maya, I'm not acting. I was... And now, I'm the one with the mic. Click, I hung up. After that, I didn't look back. I stopped checking the hashtags, stopped reading the praise, the outrage, the apologies from distant cousins. Because the truth is, when you reclaim your narrative, you don't need the applause. You just need the silence that comes after a truth finally lands and stays. Julia called a week later. We've been asked to rerun your story as the season finale. Viewer response is insane. I didn't say yes right away. Instead, I asked, can we add something? Anything you want. So we added a final clip, just a voiceover, just words, my words, over a black screen to anyone who's ever been left off the list, edited out of the photos, or silenced at someone else's spotlight moment. You are not invisible. You are not too much. You were just in the wrong room. And now, we're building our own. The finale aired on a Sunday night. Prime time, high ratings, but I didn't watch it. I went for a walk instead. No makeup, no camera, just air and freedom. And as I passed a small cafe, I heard someone inside say, "That's her, the girl from the wedding show." I didn't turn around, because that wasn't the point. The point wasn't to be seen, it was to be heard. Fame is a strange thing. 1 minute, you're nobody, just a name left off an invitation, a shadow standing outside a wedding gate. The next, you're trending nationwide, your voice looped in thousands of reels, your truth dissected, debated, devoured. But here's what no one tells you. Visibility is not vindication, and applause, it doesn't heal what was broken in silence. I learned that the week after the finale aired, the messages poured in book deals, speaking gigs, talk show appearances. Journalists wanted exclusives. Publishers offered 6 figures for memoir rights. A well-known magazine even pitched a reinvention cover shoot. But I said no. Not because I was ungrateful, but because I wasn't chasing attention. I was claiming ownership. And ownership looks very different from revenge. Instead, I used the money from the docuseries to fund something else. I bought an old community center run down, ignored, almost forgotten. Just like me. And I turned it into a platform, the Quinn Collective, a space for stories like mine, for people who had been erased, silenced, pushed aside, not to scream, but to speak. The first program we launched was for women disowned after speaking their truth. The second was for teens ousted from families for not fitting into someone else's mold. The third, a mentorship circle for creatives who'd been told they weren't marketable enough, pretty enough, quiet enough. We gave them cameras, we gave them pens, we gave them a mic and said, tell it your way, no edits, no filters. And slowly, something changed. I started receiving letters. Not DMs, letters. Handwritten, tear-stained, stamped. One from a woman who'd been disinvited from her daughter's wedding after coming out. One from a man whose brother erased him from the eulogy at their father's funeral. One from a girl who was cut from a bridal party for being too real. Each one closed the same way: you made me feel like I wasn't crazy, like I wasn't wrong for hurting. Thank you for saying it out loud. That was the reward, not the spotlight, not the sponsors, just recognition. That my pain had purpose, that my voice made space for others, and that sometimes the best kind of justice is offering others a seat at the table no one saved for you. A few months later, something unexpected happened. I got another letter, but this one wasn't from a stranger, it was from Maya. The envelope was heavy, expensive, the handwriting hers, unmistakably. I stood with it for a long time before I opened it, and even longer before I read it. Elianna, I don't know what I'm trying to say except I didn't expect this. I didn't think your voice would carry like that. I thought I could control the story. That if I kept the parts I didn't like out, it would be better, cleaner. but all I did was show the world who I really am. I don't expect forgiveness. I know I lost that. But I want you to know I hear you now, I see you now, and I'm sorry. I read it twice, then folded it back up, placed it in a box with the others, and that's where it stayed. Not because I hate her, but because forgiveness isn't an invitation back in. It's a boundary. It's a line drawn with peace, not bitterness. And I needed that line to stay intact. That day, I stood in the mirror for a long time, not checking my reflection, just standing there, because for the first time in my life, I didn't see a side character, or a footnote, or the too much cousin who wasn't wedding material. I saw me, whole, uncut, uninvited, but unbroken. I whispered to my reflection. My name is Elianna Quinn, and I am not the aftermath of someone else's story. I am the author of my own. They kicked me out of the wedding, humiliated me like a problem to be erased, turned me into silence. But I rose, quietly, powerfully, without begging, without screaming. I rose. And the next time the world saw me, I wasn't standing outside the gate. I was center screen, head held high, voice clear. I didn't ruin anyone's life. I just told the truth. And the truth did what truth always does. It rewrote everything.